Hello all, welcome to Metis IAS. So, in the last video, we discussed about the parliament as a whole. We also discussed the core idea of having a parliament. We also discussed about the parliamentary system of government that India is following. We also discussed its features, its advantages, its challenges. And not just that, we also contrasted it with the presidential system of government followed in the United States of America. So these were the things that we discussed in our previous class. So in this class, what we will do is we will take forward this topic of Indian Parliament. Now, before we take forward this topic of Indian Parliament, what is important for us is to remember the article number 79 of the Constitution of India that we have discussed already. Now, what is this Article 79 of the Constitution of India that we discussed in our previous video? This Article 79 states that there shall be a parliament for the union. It means there has to be a parliament for the union or for the center, and this parliament shall consist of the president, number one, and then it also will consist of the two houses. Now, we also discussed why president is an integral part of the parliament because for any bill to become an act, then the final approval has to be done by the president. Without the president's approval or without the president's signature, any bill will not turn into an act. That is why the president is an integral part of the Parliament of India. Now, along with president, there are two houses. Now, what are these two houses? Council of States, which is nothing but Rajya Sabha, and also the House of the People, which is nothing but Lok Sabha. Now, what are we going to do in this video? We are going to deal or discuss in detail about Rajya Sabha and also in detail about Lok Sabha. So, guys, are you ready for this enriching session about the Indian Parliament? Now, before we move forward, having two houses, that is Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, what does this mean? This means India's legislature is bicameral. That is, we follow bicameralism. Now, what is this bicameralism? Nothing but having two houses, that is Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. This is what we call as bicameralism. So, India or Indian legislature follows bicameralism. So this is the first and important thing that we need to identify or that we need to understand, that having Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha as part of our legislature is nothing but India is following a system that is called as bicameralism. Clear? Now, let us move forward and let us start with the Rajya Sabha. Now, what is this Rajya Sabha? This Rajya Sabha is the Hindi term. So, what is the Hindi? What is the English or anglicized term of this Rajya Sabha? It means the Council of States. So, we'll try to understand why it is called as Rajya Sabha or the Council of States. Why states are given more importance in this term. So now, coming to Rajya Sabha, this Rajya Sabha is considered as the second chamber of the Indian legislature. Now, why it is the second chamber and why it is not the first chamber? Now, the answer for this lies in our preamble. Our preamble starts with the terminology "we, the people of India." So, in our constitutional mechanism, who is given primary importance? It is the people. When people are given the primary importance, the house that represents these people, that is Lok Sabha, acts as the first chamber in India's parliamentary system. And that is why Rajya Sabha acts as the second chamber. Now, Rajya Sabha may be a second chamber, but this Rajya Sabha is not a secondary chamber. Now, what do we mean by the secondary chamber? That is, this Rajya Sabha is acting as the second chamber, but this Rajya Sabha is not acting as a chamber or as a house that is inferior to that is inferior to the Lok Sabha. That is, this Rajya Sabha has an equal importance. This Rajya Sabha has an equal importance in India's parliamentary system. For example, if a law has to be made, then a bill has to be passed in both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Only if the bill is passed in the Lok Sabha and if the bill is not passed in the Rajya Sabha, then that bill will not become an act. We will be discussing these things in detail. But what do I want to emphasize here is that Rajya Sabha is not the secondary chamber, but just a second chamber. It has its own independence, it has its own constitutional validity, and it also has an important part to play in India's parliamentary system. Now, now, why did I use the word secondary chamber? So, if you consider states, we have 28 states in India. So, out of the 28 states, 6 states in India, for example, the states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, and Maharashtra, has a legislative council along with the legislative assemblies. Rest of the 22 states does not have a legislative council. Now, even if these states has a legislative council, whenever a bill is introduced in the legislative assembly and a bill is passed in the legislative assembly, even if the legislative council does not pass this bill, still the bill becomes an act. That is, the legislative councils in these states does not have any role to play. They are mainly for the namesake. That is why they are called as secondary chamber. But as I said, Rajya Sabha is not like that. Rajya Sabha is not a secondary chamber. Rather, Rajya Sabha is the second chamber. Now, coming to the composition of Rajya Sabha. What is this composition of Rajya Sabha? Now, this Rajya Sabha, the maximum strength of this Rajya Sabha is 250 members. The maximum strength of this Rajya Sabha is 250 members. That is, the members of Rajya Sabha or the Rajya Sabha members cannot be more than 250. And what is the current strength? The current strength of Rajya Sabha is 245. Now, let us keep 250 in mind and let us try to divide how this 250 is formed. Now, out of this 250, 238 members. How much? 238 members are elected. Elected from where? From the states and from the union territories. So we have 229 members from the 28 states, 9 from the different union territories like Delhi, Puducherry, and Jammu and Kashmir. Now the question here is, in India, there are 8 union territories, but only these 3 union territories has a role in electing members to the Rajya Sabha. What is the reason for this? The reason is simple. The reason for this is that only these 3 union territories has legislative assemblies. Rest of the 5 union territories does not have a legislative assembly. So 9 MPs to Rajya Sabha are chosen from these 3 union territories. Rest of the 229 MPs to Rajya Sabha are chosen from the 28 states of India. Now, now the question is, who are the remaining 12 members? The remaining 12 members are nominated members. Now, who is nominating these 12 members to the Rajya Sabha? This is done by the President of India. Based on what field, in what terms they can nominate these 12 members, based on the expertise in arts, literature, science, or social service. So, based on the expertise of a person in arts, literature, science, or social service, the President of India can nominate how many members? The President of India can nominate 12 members to the Rajya Sabha. Now, for example, can we give any example for the nominated member of Rajya Sabha. So, when it comes to the nominated members of Rajya Sabha, it is the president who has the power to nominate them. But when we say it is the president who has the power to nominate them, but the ultimate decision lies with whom? Can the president nominate on his own, on his or her own? No. The ultimate decision is made by the Council of Ministers. And whatever decision the Council of Ministers makes, that decision is binding on the president. So, for example, there is one nominated member in Rajya Sabha serving currently, that is Sudha Murthy. Now, who is this Sudha Murthy? The wife of the founder of Infosys, Narayan Murthy. So, she was nominated to Rajya Sabha based on social service. Now, the question is, there are people like Sachin Tendulkar who does not find a place in either arts, literature, science, or social service. He is a sportsman. But still, how was he nominated to Rajya Sabha? For this, the answer is eminent constitutionalist Soli Sarabji said that this arts, literature, science, or social service is not an exhaustive list. Rather, it is an illustrative list. So, what is this illustrative list? That is, these 12 members should not be limited only for these four fields. Rather, they can also be linked to other fields that are associated with these aspects. Hence, in this aspect, Sachin Tendulkar was also nominated to the Rajya Sabha. I hope this is clear. Now, so with respect to the members of Rajya Sabha, who has the power, or does the constitution say this many members has to be there in Rajya Sabha? Or who has the power to add or decrease the number of members of Rajya Sabha? This power retains with the Parliament of India. When I say Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha along with the signature of President. So, for example, tomorrow, if the numbers of members of Rajya Sabha has to be increased from 250 to 300, then who has to agree for it, or it has to be passed by whom? It has to be passed by the Parliament of India. Am I clear? So, the maximum strength of Rajya Sabha in the current time is 250 members. Out of this 250 members, 238 members are elected, 12 members are nominated. So, who has the power to regulate the number of Rajya Sabha members? It is nothing but the Parliament of India who has the power to do it. I hope this is clear. Now, let us move into the next aspect. Now, now we understood that out of 250 members, 238 members are elected to Rajya Sabha. Now, let us try to understand how are they elected. Now, the question is, do the people like us go and directly vote to the Rajya Sabha members? The answer for this is no. See, you might have seen the national election or the general election of 2024. So many of us went to the voting booths and we voted the candidates as per our preference. Now, who were these candidates? These candidates were members of parliament itself. But of which house? They were the members of parliament from Lok Sabha. So, what is happening in the Rajya Sabha? The Rajya Sabha members of parliament are elected, but not directly. Rather, they are elected indirectly. Now, how are they elected indirectly? That is, these members of parliament of Rajya Sabha are elected by the elected members of legislative assemblies of the respective states. For example, for example, I am from the state of Karnataka. I am from the state of Karnataka. So, when there is assembly elections, I go and vote for the legislative assembly elections. I go and vote for the legislative assemblies. So, 224 is the number of MLAs from my state. Now, the 224 MLAs that the people of Karnataka elect, it is these 224 MLAs who acts as the voters in the election of Rajya Sabha. It is these 224 members of Karnataka Legislative Assembly who acts as the voters of the Rajya Sabha elections. So is it clear? I hope this is clear for you to understand how they are elected. Now, let us continue with the example of Karnataka. Karnataka in total elects 224 MLAs. Now, these 224 MLAs elect 12 Rajya Sabha members from Karnataka. Now, how are they elected? I will come to it. Now, before that, the fourth schedule of the Constitution of India specifies the number of Rajya Sabha MPs allocated to each state. That is, I told you that Karnataka has 12 Rajya Sabha MPs. Karnataka has 12 Rajya Sabha MPs. Now, who says that Karnataka has only 12 Rajya Sabha MPs? It is found in the fourth schedule of the Constitution of India. Now, as per this fourth schedule of the Constitution of India, which state do you think has the highest Rajya Sabha members? There are different states. For example, if we consider a state which is having the highest MLAs. So which is the state that has highest MLAs? It is the state of Uttar Pradesh. So obviously it is the state of Uttar Pradesh which has the highest members of Rajya Sabha elected. What is the reason? Because they have more number of MLAs in that particular state. Now, what is the number of MLAs? Sorry, what is the number of MPs from Uttar Pradesh elected to Rajya Sabha? It is 31. Now, how is this election conducted? This election is conducted through the means of proportional representation. Now, what is this proportional representation? I will explain to you. Okay, before that, proportional representation by means of the single transferable vote using an open ballot. Using an open ballot. Now, it is important for us to understand what is this proportional representation, what is this single transferable vote, and what is this open ballot. Now, for this, let us start with the term open ballot. Now, what is this open ballot? Open ballot means the MLAs who elect the MPs to Rajya Sabha, they are bound by the directives of the party. That is, for example, tomorrow, let us assume there is Rajya Sabha election for the members of Rajya Sabha from Karnataka. So, whenever, let us assume there are six vacancies. Okay. Let us assume there are six vacancies. So, if there are six vacancies to Karnataka's Rajya Sabha members, what it means is that the 224 members of Karnataka, the 224 members of MLAs of Karnataka has to elect these six Rajya Sabha MPs. So, what it means? It means that for every single Rajya Sabha MP, for every single Rajya Sabha MP, approximately 37 MLAs of Karnataka has to vote for that Rajya Sabha MP. Now, what is happening? If you take the present electoral dynamics of Karnataka, there are three parties predominant in Karnataka. There are three parties predominant in Karnataka. Now, which are these three parties? That is Congress, BJP, and JDS. So, if we take the party-wise numbers, if we take the party-wise numbers, for example, Congress in Karnataka has approximately 130 seats. 135 seats to be very precise. Okay. Now, what about the BJP? BJP has 66. And what about the rest? The rest is independent has 2 and Janata Dal has 19. And then there is another two smaller parties which has one each. Now, when I say BJP has 66, okay, when I say BJP has 66, which means that two for to select two MPs from BJP, they need the support of at least 74 members. So BJP alone cannot send two MPs to Rajya Sabha. Now let us assume BJP and JDS is coming together. That is, it becomes 66 plus 19, that is 85. When both of them are coming together, then what happens? Easily they can send two MPs because 37 into 2 is 74. So this is what I call as proportional representation. That is, based on each party's strength, that party can send the number of Rajya Sabha MPs. For example, as I said, Congress has 135 MLAs from Karnataka. And what is the number of support of MLA required for one MP? That is 37. So if you take 37 into 3, if you take 37 into 3, then it comes to 101. 100 and sorry, it comes to 111. It comes to 111. So Congress can easily send three MPs. So the remaining members of Congress, that is, out of 135, 24 is remaining. So if Congress, gets into an understanding with GDs rather than BJP, then 24 plus 19 becomes 43. So both of them together can send one MP. So this is what I mean by proportional representation. Now, what is this open ballot? That is, each MLAs are bound by their party's directive or by their party's whip while selecting this Rajya Sabha MPs. Now, if you take the presidential election or the vice presidential election, they are done by something called a secret ballot. That is, the MPs or the electorate who are voting for this president or vice presidential election can vote can vote as per their own wish. They're not directed by their party's wishes or wills of their party. But that is not the case in Rajya Sabha. In Rajya Sabha election, what happens is the directive that is given by the party has to be agreed by the MLAs. Now, until 1998, until 1998 or until 2003, we can tell the secret ballot system was, sorry, until 1998, the secret ballot system itself was practiced. But what happened in 1998 is that in the 1998 Rajya Sabha elections in Maharashtra, there were six seats vacant. There were how many seats vacant? There were six seats vacant. And out of these six seats, seven contenders were there. Now, why only seven contenders? Because in the initial stage itself, it will be known that which party is going to, send a Rajya Sabha MP because it depends mainly on the number of MLAs that is present. But what happened in Maharashtra was that for these six seats, there were seven contenders. So the Congress had fielded two candidates, and then the Shiva Sena had also fielded some candidates. Then there were two Congress candidates, two Shiva Sena candidates, and one BJP candidate was contesting for the six seats. Now, what happened was that Congress was sure that both of its candidates would win. But surprisingly, what happened in this election was that the one of the Congress candidate lost. Now, why one of the Congress candidates lost was that some of the Congress MLAs itself did not vote for a Congress candidate. Rather, they voted for an independent candidate. Now, when this happened, there was uproar in the parliament saying that these MLAs were defying the orders of the party which elected them. And finally, an ethics committee of the Rajya Sabha sat. And in the year 1998, this committee suggested that the Rajya Sabha election should not be based on a secret ballot. Rather, it has to be based on open ballot based on the party's directives. And hence, in the year 2001, the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government acted on this suggestion. And from the year 2003 onwards, the Rajya Sabha election is being conducted mainly through the open ballot. So this is how the Rajya Sabha election works. So basically, in simple words, to put it in simple words, we elect the citizens of a state, elect their MLAs. These MLAs vote for the MPs in the Rajya Sabha election. Now, who gets a chance to win? Which party has the highest number of MLAs in the state? gets a chance to win that state's Rajya Sabha election. To put it in a very simple manner, I'll give you another example. Let us assume the number of Rajya Sabha seats vacant from a state is 10. Let us assume there are 10 seats of Rajya Sabha vacant from a state X. And this state X, let us assume, has 100 MLAs. So what it means is that this means 10 MLAs can elect one Rajya Sabha MP. Let us assume again there are four parties: Party A, Party B, Party C, and Party D. Party A has 40 MLAs, Party B has 30 MLAs, Party C has 20 MLAs, and Party D has 10 MLAs. Now, what it means? It means that Party A can easily send four Rajya Sabha MPs. Party B can send three Rajya Sabha MLAs, three Rajya Sabha MPs. Party C can send two Rajya Sabha MPs, and Party D can send one Rajya Sabha MPs. I hope this simple example is understood by all. If you do not understand this example, please post in the comment and we will be providing another video to ease you understand this concept. Okay. Now this is how the Rajya Sabha election happens. Proportional representation by means of single transferable vote using an open ballot system. Now, now let us come to the importance of Rajya Sabha. What is the importance that Rajya Sabha holds? As I told, Rajya Sabha is the second chamber in our parliament. But is it sufficient? No. This Rajya Sabha also has some exclusive powers in our parliament. That is, there are certain powers which is given only to this Rajya Sabha. Now, what are these exclusive powers? In that, first exclusive power is the removal of the Vice President of India. That is Article 67, Clause B. Now, why this vice president's removal power is mainly given to Rajya Sabha? Because we know that it is this Rajya Sabha chairman who also acts as the vice president, or vice versa. It is this vice president of India who also acts as the chairperson of Rajya Sabha. So, if tomorrow an impeachment motion or tomorrow if a removal procedure has to be initiated for this vice president of India, then it has to be agreed by both. No doubt, it has to be agreed by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. But who can initiate this? It can be initiated only by the Rajya Sabha. I hope you are understanding this. Now, more procedures of this vice president's removal, etc., will be dealt when we deal with the chapter of executive, when we deal with vice president significantly, when we deal with vice president specifically. But for now, let us keep this in mind that in order to remove the vice president of India, who alone can initiate this process? It is the Rajya Sabha alone. Next, we also discussed in our earlier videos that as per our seventh schedule, there are three lists. There is union list, there are state list, and there are also concurrent list. So what is this union list? Only the central government can make law on this. What is the state list? Only the state government can make law on this. What is this concurrent list? That is only, sorry, both the center and the state can make law on this concurrent list subjects. Now, we know that there are certain subjects in the state list, but what does Article 249 says? If Article 249 says, if there is a national interest in mind, if there is a national interest in mind, and if there is a subject that is present in the state list, there is a subject present in the state list, and a national interest is coming into the picture. For example, the agriculture is a subject that is present in the state list. That is, only the state legislative assembly can make a law on this agriculture. But let us assume tomorrow, if there is something very significant related to agriculture, which is important from the national interest perspective, then a law on agriculture can be made by the parliament also. But, but who has to recommend this? This also has to be recommended by the Rajya Sabha. That is, a resolution has to be passed in Rajya Sabha saying that Parliament should be given the power to make law on a subject in the state list. That is, the members present and voting in the Rajya Sabha has to agree for a resolution saying that the center or the parliament can make law on agriculture. At that point of time, at that point of time, the parliament can also make a law on the state list. So again, who is given the power here? Rajya Sabha. Why Rajya Sabha is given the power? Because it is Rajya Sabha which is the house that is deemed specifically to uphold the interests of the state. Now, there is another special power. Now, what is this another special power, Rajya Sabha? You are all preparing for the civil service examination. And what is your main aim? Your main aim is either to become an IAS officer or an IPS officer. Now, this IAS, Indian Administrative Service, or the Indian Police Service, or the Indian Forest Service. What are these? These are something called as All India Services. Now, let us assume, so we in India currently have three All India services. So, let us assume tomorrow there is a decision to create a fourth All India service, maybe Indian Technology Service or Indian Health Service. Now, who has the power to create it? The power to create it lies with the parliament itself. But can the parliament create it as and when it wants? No. Then this also, or the creation of a new All India service also has to be approved by the Rajya Sabha, the same procedure as that of the previously discussed case. That is, Rajya Sabha has to present a resolution or has to pass a resolution out of the members of Rajya Sabha present and voting, saying that a new All India service has to be created. Once Rajya Sabha passes this resolution, then the parliament can create a new All India service. So I hope this is clear to each and every one of you. So these are the three exclusive powers of the Rajya Sabha. Now, coming to the next part, there has been a continuous question mark on the Rajya Sabha's continuing relevance, whether Rajya Sabha is really required or not. This is an issue that has been asked by many people. Now, let us try to understand what is the relevance of this Rajya Sabha. So, relevance number one is that Rajya Sabha can check on the hasty legislation passed by the Lok Sabha. Because what happens in Lok Sabha? In Lok Sabha, there is a party which has a super majority. And tomorrow, if they want to pass any law, they can easily pass in Lok Sabha. But once it is passed in Lok Sabha, is it easy for them to pass it in Rajya Sabha too? No. Why? Because the answer for this is Rajya Sabha has members from different states. Also, Rajya Sabha has certain nominated members. So, Rajya Sabha can check or can act as a check and balance on these kind of hasty legislations. Number two, Rajya Sabha also provides a platform for more deliberations and discussions on all kinds of bills and policies. For example, tomorrow, if there is a new law that has to be passed, let us assume a bill has been introduced in Lok Sabha. In Lok Sabha, the bill passes. Now, their Rajya Sabha will also scrutinize the bill more. There will be more detailed debates and discussions in Rajya Sabha on this bill. Once these debates and discussions are provided, Rajya Sabha can also suggest certain amendments for these bills. So, Rajya Sabha increases the aspect of deliberative democracy. Also, Rajya Sabha acts as a platform for the representation of the non-elected members. For example, I gave you the example of Sudha Murthy. She is a nominated member to Rajya Sabha. So let us assume tomorrow if she wants to enter Lok Sabha, but see, there are few people who are really vocal enough to contest in Lok Sabha, who has that oratory skills to, like nudge the people to vote to them in the Lok Sabha election. But there might be few people who might not be that vocal enough, but are still good enough to be a part of the parliament. Take Manmohan Singh, for example, an astute economist. He also went on to become the Prime Minister of India, but he did not have that aura to be a mass leader and to fight Lok Sabha election. So for people like these, for leaders like this, the Rajya Sabha provides a platform to also become a member of parliament. Next, constitutional amendments. As I said, the constitutional amendments also has to be passed by both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Has to be passed by both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. And another thing is, if the Lok Sabha passes the constitutional amendment bill, and if the Rajya Sabha does not pass the constitutional amendment bill, then this constitutional amendment bill cannot be passed at all. But if it is an ordinary bill, then there can be a provision of joint sitting. These things we will be discussing later in detail. But for a constitutional amendment bill, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has to be passed separately. Also, Rajya Sabha can act as a bargaining federalism tool. That is, for example, the ruling party in Lok Sabha may not sometimes have a majority in Rajya Sabha. Now, when they do not have majority in Rajya Sabha, it means that the regional parties of different states has representation in Rajya Sabha. Now, when they have a representation in Rajya Sabha, what it means that it becomes important for the different parties or the majority party in Lok Sabha to bargain with these regional parties and to come to a conclusion. Now, what this means? This means federalism is upholded through Rajya Sabha. So these are the relevance of Rajya Sabha. Now, having said this, there are certain criticism with respect to Rajya Sabha also. Now, what is these criticism and challenges? Number one is that as we see, Rajya Sabha is also faced with a lot of disruptions during the debates that are happening. Rajya Sabha is also becoming unproductive. Rajya Sabha is also not being able to provide that deliberations that was expected from its side. Next, there is also something called as procedural limits. Now, what are these procedural limits? For example, consider a bill like money bill. This money bill cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. Anything or any bill that is associated with money cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. So there are certain limits to Rajya Sabha also. Then there are representation issues. Now, what are these representation issues? There might be some political loyalists. There might be some loyalists of different political parties who might have lost in Lok Sabha elections. Now, what these parties will do, these parties will use Rajya Sabha as a tool to provide an opportunity for these kind of people to become a member of parliament. So these are certain criticisms and challenges. And also, as I said, there are also certain institutional weakness of Rajya Sabha. Now, what are these institutional weakness of Rajya Sabha? It is that Rajya Sabha does not have certain important powers. Like, for example, when a joint sitting is held for an ordinary bill, that time the Rajya Sabha can become a mute spectator because the Lok Sabha has the vast majority and Lok Sabha and the members and in the joint sitting, the party which has highest number in Lok Sabha can easily pass through these bills. Then there are certain political dynamics that is also involved in the Rajya Sabha election. As we see, Rajya Sabha election is today generally done through a ballot that is called as open ballot. That is, the MLAs has to abide by their party's directions in electing an MP. They cannot vote out of their conscience. So they are bound by the directions of the party. So these are some of the challenges and criticisms of Rajya Sabha that is present. Now, what do we understand from Rajya Sabha? Number one, Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. Unlike the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha is never dissolved. That is, for every 5 years, Lok Sabha dissolves. But what about Rajya Sabha? Does Rajya Sabha dissolve? No, the Rajya Sabha never dissolves. Rather, for after every 2 years, one third of the members of the Rajya Sabha retire, providing for new one third members in Rajya Sabha. So For every 2 years, new members are added to Rajya Sabha, but there is nothing called as Rajya Sabha being dissolved. Another very important thing is for the Lok Sabha, the constitution specifies the term of the Lok Sabha MP. But for the Rajya Sabha MP, the constitution does not specify it. Rather, who specifies it? It is the Representation of the People's Act who specifies the term of office of the Rajya Sabha MP to be 6 years. Another very important thing is in Rajya Sabha, there is no reservation for the scheduled caste or the scheduled tribes as we see in the Lok Sabha. The new reservation for women also is found only in the Lok Sabha and not in the Rajya Sabha. So these are some of the key takeaways from the chapter of Rajya Sabha based on what we have understood. So I hope you have understood the concept of Rajya Sabha.